Hello and welcome to Radio Aapki Awaaz, meaning this is your voice. We are your voice. We are all merely just giving you a platform to come together. My name is Mr. Ali, the host for tonight, and every night between the hours of 8 to 9 on a Tuesday evening. Thank you for those of you who are joining in on a regular basis. I hope you find it informative. I hope you find it entertaining, and I hope you take something away from it. So today you'll be thinking, what have we got in store after Storm Daniels and Storm Kiara? We are coming down, crashing down to the ground with a topic that unfortunately is blighting every street, every high street across most inner cities. And unfortunately we are suffering the consequences. And it brings the whole morale, brings the whole environment, the whole area down. And that is none other than fly tipping and littering. So for me, it's something that over the years, it is certainly irking me. It is certainly sort of chipping away at me. But at the same time, there is no easy long-term solution to this. And that is why I thought it would be a fantastic idea to bring this onto the airways of Radio Aapki Awaaz and across the globe. So Radio Aapki Awaaz can be also picked up on TuneIn Radio and Radio Aapki Awaaz on DAB Radio. So please do tune in if you aren't on social media. Alternatively, you can come onto my page every Tuesdays. But I want your input on this particular topic. First of all, get an understanding of why the people feel the need to throw away their litter, the daily litter. So for example, if they are just going to the local convenience store and buy a packet of crisp or fag or whatever, and they just throw it away without all the way from Sunny Slough indeed, without a moment's notice. That's the worrying thing for me, is when people start throwing away without a moment's notice, and they're doing it as a matter of default position. I think that is worrying, and that is the state that we have got to. So that is your everyday littering. But also what has become a more recent phenomenon is whereby there are certainly in every area probably about a dozen or so hotspots where people feel that is their local waste disposal unit, whereby they will just drop. I mean, some of the things that I've seen is just absolutely horrifying. And what I mean by that is, your full, beds, your 3-seat sofas, knives, all sorts of things, cookers, fridges. These are now norms. And the worrying thing is, as soon as you dispose of it, and there's the whole sort of area becomes a bit of a grot spot, and it's reported within quite a short space of time, then within 24 hours or less, that same area starts, that whole pile starts to grow again. And that can be really demoralizing, both for the local residents, who I am sure at some point have seen people disposing of their household goods on a regular basis, but for some reason or not are not confronting or reporting it to the authorities. And also, a lot of argument has been that once it is reported, then the enforcement side of things is very poor. But that is changing. So those of you who are more tuned to, we have Jazz here from the Birmingham Mail and also ARCF, Arama Community Forum. There has been a number of reported cases on the media now whereby the council have taken the individuals, the culprits, to court, and they have been fined many hundreds and thousands of pounds. So I don't think we can no longer use the excuse that the authorities aren't enforcing. What they do say is that they need a proper evidence, witness statement, or some photographic evidence in order for that prosecution to take place. So it can't be just on the hearsay, or it can't be just one person's word against the other. That is the pivotal point that the authorities have made in the past. So for me, not only do I want your input into today's show, why do us, when I say people, I'm including us, you, myself, everyone included, because we make up and represent the community. Why do we feel the need to throw our litter away without waiting until we put it into the appropriate bin or whatever it is, or even at home? And secondly, why do we feel the need to fly tipping on our sort of grot spots, whether it may be on a street corner or not, and not go in to the local waste disposal units that have been provided by our council authorities. So please do provide your input, provide your thoughts as to what the reasons are, and it'd be useful to get a discussion generated. I do have a guest that is going to be joining me shortly at 8:30. He's just on his way from work, and that is Javed Iqbal from Alamra Community Forum, who alongside Wajid Hussain and none other than Zahir Akbar have done a phenomenal job just on one particular area, and that's around Hodge Hill. We also have Hodge Hill residents as well. So, I mean, these are groups that are now, and similar groups across most areas now, are now sort of taking the place of the local council person that used to come in, and also the fact that now we have less and less people taking their civic responsibility of cleaning their own area just outside their houses. For example, I remember when I was growing up, it was quite common for our parents to go outside with a brush, maybe on a Friday or a Saturday morning, and just give the pavement, the road just outside their house and maybe their neighbouring houses a quick sort of sweep, get it all clean, and really took a sense of pride of their area. And what I have seen is a real erosion of that sort of civic pride and responsibility, for their areas. And again, I don't know why that has taken place, not suddenly, but I would say over the last generation, which is about 15-20 years, I would say, possibly. Again, please give me your thoughts, and I would love to also have you on the airwave. For you to do that is the number is 0121 682 9735. So my question is, first of all, before we actually find a solution, why are we causing this problem in the first place? When we are going to outside and we have a can of Coke or a fag packet or whatever it may be, why do we feel the need that we can just throw away without a moment's thought? What is it that has happened in the last, I would say, maybe 20 years, whereby we don't even think about what the outcome of our actions are? And this is something that I think we all need to take a step back and think that and it's far too easy to say, because I have heard people saying, oh yes, everyone else is doing it. What kind of an excuse is that? If everyone else is doing it, then I'm going to do it. Someone has to make a start. Do it for your own pride, for your own respectability, for the area. When someone throws, for example, I'm going to tell you a little anecdotal story. I won't mention the individual's name, but we went to Bradford, and one of my friends was smoking, and he threw the fag packet. Once he sort of started the fag, he threw the fag packet on the floor. The resident from Bradford was there, and he looked at us and he said, why have you just littered it outside my house? And he obviously took it quite personally, and I was quite shocked as well. I thought, why would you do that? And he made it worse by then saying that he wouldn't have done this in Birmingham. Again, it just gives you an insight of, the fact that, he did it there without any kind of sort of, consequences of his actions or thoughts. What are people going to think of me? What's going to happen to the area? Absolutely no thought at all. And later on, once he was given a moment's thought of and reflection, he did put his hands up and he was very embarrassed about it, and he has vowed that he won't do it again. But I suppose if we can bring it back to Birmingham, especially where we live and where I live, and even though this is going across the globe, why do people feel the need to litter? What is it that has changed over the last, I would say, maybe 15, 20 years, that we are now, without a moment's thought, throwing litter away onto our roads, onto our high streets? And the worst thing is, especially, areas like, Soho Road, Ladypool Road, Stratford Road, Alum Rock Road even, people now have a very dim view, have a very disrespectful, very bad view of that area, simply because not only of the other stuff going on, but the amount of litter that whole area sort of collects and consumes over a short space of time. And unfortunately, it is the residents of those areas that are labelled as being dirty and being labelled as though they have no respect for their area. And by and large, and again, there's no hard and fast rule about this, by and large, it is people from outside, when they do come, that are causing most of the littering by going into the takeaway, by going to the convenience stores and throwing away. And the argument can be made that there should be more litter bins, more waste bins sort of scattered across most of these high streets. For example, the area that I know well is Alum Rock, and I can sort of hazard a guess that there's only probably about 3 bins covering the whole of Alum Rock, from Saltley Gate all the way up to the petrol station. And for that particular stretch, 3 is absolutely disgraceful. So over the course of the week, litter is going to build up. So I know we've got quite a few people that are sort of having a real passion and a real fight back in order to address that. Rizwan, Javed, and a few others, Gordon as well, who have really made it be known that we as a community are not going to tolerate this, and within our constraints that we can work in, have reported to the authorities, have taken to social media, and have arranged sort of cleanups and sort of collect-ups. The question is, do we need this, or is this the way sort of the way forward, or do we need to have a lot more involvement and a lot more joined up thinking by the authorities? So we don't need to sort of do these collect-ups by people, individuals and organizations that are giving up their free time and their goodwill in order to do that. And as soon as, what if that stops? What if, organizations and individuals of the names that I've just mentioned and many more, they stop? What will happen to the area then? So that's why I say there needs to be a joined up collective effort by the council, by community organizations and like-minded individuals to have a joined up thinking. And also, what I would also say is, I know about 10 years ago we did have bulky waste disposal, where I think, if I remember right, was it 2 or 3 collections per year was free of charge per household? Is that something that we ought to now lobby and petition our respective councils in order to restore that? So I know I'm by and large talking about Birmingham, but this can also be translated to other areas. So Birmingham a few years ago now has sort of stop the bulky collections, and as a result, not everyone has a vehicle or is able to afford, or generally just find it easy now just to sort of dispose their sofas, their settees, their beds, these are not your small everyday items, onto any corner, and before you know it, those corners will become a bit of a grot spots, a bit of a blight on the area, and that will then automatically start attracting a lot more rubbish, a lot more downgrade of the area, and it's a downward spiral, and that is something that we are trying to stop and prevent on this show. So again, my plea is, if you can give me an insight of why do people just throw everyday littering onto the floor, and I myself included. I think, is that because our parents have no longer telling us in order to stop, Or is it the fact that now, we don't take pride in our area, and it's almost cool to sort of be seen to be a bit of a big man and throw your fag packet or, your can of Coke on the high street, without a care of the world, and as though no one's going to say anything to you. And that is something that I want to get to the bottom of. And the number once again is 01216829735. Get in touch into the studios by coming on air. Alternatively, please just type into your onto the sort of Facebook comment as well, and it'd be most appreciative. So we are going to trying to read those out during the ad break as well. So I think I have covered quite a lot, and the reason why I have actually brought this show on this week is because a number of you have also been in touch, is because there is one particular organisation, Aramrock Community Forum, who over the last, I would say 4 or 5 years, have really made some inroads into some grot spots that people thought, like Zahir Khan has just previously mentioned, Sandway Gardens, you've got Memory Road, you've got also Philomar Road. These are real hotspots that, unfortunately, even though there have been some cameras that have been installed, and there's been sort of posters put through letterboxes of the neighbours saying, look, please be vigilant and report anyone fly tipping. But unfortunately, no conviction, no reporting has taken place. Is it because they're fearful of any reprisals? Is that why they're reluctant to do so? Or is it just the fact that they think nothing is going to be done? And in some ways, in the past, there has been an element of truth in that, whereby the level of convictions by the council has been very poor. But I must say now, over the last 6 to 12 months, there has been numerous convictions, and people find quite heavily, I hasten to add. So I don't think that particular excuse can be used anymore. So why don't, for example, why don't people report to the council? And council now is becoming more and more accessible by having various apps that you can download, by having various websites and also phone numbers that you can report any grot spots, but also individuals that may have contributed to the hotspots. Not only that, there has been some incriminating evidence already within the rubbish that has been left, and the council has took it upon themselves to do something. But again, until the council has any evidence been provided to them that the individual has personally dropped it onto the pavement, the council hands are tied. So it's not just good enough that their furniture or their waste is on the corner. It has to be seen by the individual doing that in order for the council to have sufficient evidence in order to take them to court. So it's not an easy process. So we do understand that the council has an element of trust and a relationship with us in order for them to do their job. But why aren't we standing up and playing our role as civic citizens in order to make sure that our streets, our areas aren't blighted by these fly tippers? And most of these fly tippers aren't I would say, commercial or business type of fly tipping. These are your everyday household items. And the I'm just thinking about the heaviness, the weight of these items. It can't have come from too far. So again, that leads me to thinking that it has to be a nearby house, which where either the owners or the occupiers have decided to have an upgrade on their sofas or their beds, and they've just dropped it onto the nearest corner, or these are your tenanted properties, and they have simply the old tenants have moved out and the new tenants have come in and they bought their own furniture. And what do? They just pile their rubbish on the nearest street corner. And unfortunately, once a street corner becomes known for fly tipping, then that just further encourages everyone to follow suit. So that is one. And the other sort of also reason why a lot of people have seen fly tipping on major high streets. And when I say on major high streets, I'm talking about, for example, your secondary high streets apart from city centre. So these are your Soho Road, Ladypool Road, Stratford Road, Alnbrook Road, where huge number of shoppers do convene over the course of the week. And you will see that there's piles of black bags being piled up, and you're thinking, why on earth is anyone piling black bags when we've got those wheelie bins now? And it was reported that now these are now being disposed of by the tenants above the shops, because obviously they're living on a first floor property. They don't have any space for wheelie bins, so they will then start piling the black bags outside. And what they do, sometimes they do it 2 or 3 days in advance. We will have also missed collections now over the last few years now with the industrial strike. So that has also led to piles of rubbish piled up as well. And before you know it, certain corners, yes, we have the legend join us. He will help me to come and tackle some of these issues that we are discussing. And that has also led to piles of rubbish being sort of piled up as well. So it is a complicated issue. There's no easy answers. And unless we all get involved and we all take it seriously, then it is us that are going to suffer, because not all of us can sort of leave. And why should we leave areas like Small Heath, Alnbrook, Soho, Handsworth, Sparkhill, and so on? And these are just some inner city areas, and I'm sure there's others in Smethwick, in Coventry, in Wolverhampton, right across the West Midlands and right across the UK. Why should we feel the need to move to better areas when we can have a bit more pride in our area and certainly work together to address that? So anyway, that was my initial thoughts over. I've had Javed Iqbal from Alnbrook Community Forum join me. Walaikum salam. Join me this evening to help me tackle this issue. So first of all, Javed, before actually going and talking about some of the work that you and your friends within Alnbrook and the wider community have done, I think it's important to sort of touch on is why has this become such a big issue over the last, I would say, maybe 4 or 5 years?
Alhamdulillah. I mean, thank you ever so much, Ali, for inviting me to Radio Aapki Awaaz, and thank you ever so much for Radio Awaaz for highlighting these community issues. And I've been listening to your programs ever since, and alhamdulillah, you're doing some great work. Fly tipping, as you said, we started as Alnbrook Community Forum. We started 5 years ago with yourselves and a few other friends, and since then, alhamdulillah, we've achieved many huge targets, and alhamdulillah, it's been a great journey so far. I mean, a lot of brothers and sisters are watching out there. It's all about creating awareness. Standing up to the stuff, the issues that we have in the community, and with people like you around, alhamdulillah, it's a great. Alnbrook itself is suffering badly. Not only Alnbrook, but the issue is national.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Alnbrook itself, people don't realise is that look how much businesses there are. The people that live here is very highly populated area.
Absolutely.
So you will expect this kind of situation. What the community needs to do, in our opinion, is raise the awareness, like we raised. We set up the 3 E's project, which virtually was to engage, educate, and empower people. I mean, we set up a WhatsApp number where people start reporting to us. We just get 40, 50 reports a week where we get to tackle the issues and report them, make sure the fly tipping is recovered and removed from the hotspot. Just
going to sort of hold you there, because I think you're going sort of a bit too fast for me, if I can. Just sort of bring it back, if I can. So first of all, I think it's worth understanding, that this is not just the residents or the community's responsibility. It is collective, and that includes businesses. So you mentioned, you mentioned Alnbrook Road High Street, but we can also mention a lot of the other sort of, main high streets where there's a lot of shoppers that come from outside the area. First of all, I want to try and understand the psyche of when someone is walking down the street, what has changed over the last generation that they just feel the need that they can throw rubbish on the street. Something's changed. What is it? Is it because the parents aren't telling the kids don't really care, they don't think about it? Is there no sort of repercussions or a penalty? Why do you think people do in the first place?
I mean, I honestly don't know. I mean, before, when we first started the problem, tackling this issue, I mean, a lot of people we spoke to personally ourselves, with yourselves, they never had the knowledge how to report it, how to go about it. So hence why we set up this 3 E's project, where we actually, obviously engage with people first of all, educate them. Obviously, people from Eastern European countries who move to the area, they don't know what the local tips are. So obviously, by educating them, from 70 of 54 hotspots we had when we first started, It's come down to about 8 or 9, which are still blighting the area.
So it can be done.
Of course,
It can be
alhamdulillah.
done. So there is a positive note to this. So it can be done, but we're just a matter of no. So I just want to mention the bit about, education. I think that is key.
Absolutely.
Rather than sort of putting all the resources in actually clearing up, if we can actually, put a lot of the resources, for 70-80% into educating individuals not to not to throw it in the first place, or if they are going to do it through the proper channels, that would go a long way.
One thing we're forgetting is, each and every single time a council comes up to pick up the rubbish, what we see dumped on the street, it's costing us, the working class people, the taxpayers, a huge amount of money.
Absolutely.
Each time, 4 guys come out, they are getting paid for it. The truck themselves, each ton is, I think, £75 a ton to pick up. And I think with last figures, I think we've got them dotted down somewhere. It's about 75-80 tons a week is getting lifted from Alnlock alone. And if you work the figures out, we are the ones who have to pay for that. So, by keeping that in mind, speak to your neighbours, keep your front of your drives clean. It's a sunnah, subhanAllah, we're the Muslim area. And if Muslims can't lead the way, then alhamdulillah, who is.
I take your point about that, but again, then I will sort of maybe ask the council that when we had the free bulk waste collection, they were saying that's costing too much. But they are, I would say, I don't have any facts and figures to hand, maybe you can help me out here, but I'm sure what they are spending now, retrospectively, going around and doing these cleanups and picking up these waste and from these, these grot spots, I'm sure that's costing them, very similar to what they had with the...
Absolutely. It's costing huge amounts of money. Out of the pocket, which when they claim that they've got no money in the first place to do it. So, but heavy bulk collection, it's something that they should be looking into. So bring that back. Maybe that. The amount of rubbish that gets dumped, you get a hot spot cleared one day, next day.
Within 24 hours, shocking.
Yeah, we know Fillmore Road, just down the road from here.
That's right.
In a week, it gets picked up twice.
Yeah.
And if you go there right now, that's a huge amount of...
Seriously, if anyone drives around that spot, you'll be thinking you're in a war zone. You're in a third world country, and like I said, it's not as though it's for lack of reporting or people or the council not picking it up. But each week, how many times can you keep on reporting it and keep on collecting this? And these are not your small wastes. These are your sofas, your beds. You're talking a full van coming in and.
It's absolutely madness when you look at it. The whole house clearance is being dumped on the streets. When some people are paid money to have this stuff cleared out, but yet the people they're employing or they're giving the money to, not realising they're only going down the road and dumping it on in front of somebody's house. It's not acceptable. How many times like Fillmore Road, it's been a hotspot for 9 months to 10 months, the way it is. Okay, it's been a hotspot for a long, long time. There's a nursery across the road. The young children have to walk past it. What are we setting examples of to young children? It's not their responsibility to come and pick the litter up. Which I agree with litter picking. I agree with the whole thing about litter picking is get together, take ownership of your own road, take ownership of your own area. Until we don't do that, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Hence why Alnlock Community Forum has been very successful with engaging with people. When we used to do the street patrols, the whole aim was to get people on board, get them together, and step up the game. Alhamdulillah.
No, I remember that street pick whereby it was actually sort of completely, coming down with heavy rain, and you guys were out there with the council workers as well, and there was broken glass, and also there was a rather dangerous weapon that was found. I don't know if it was a knife or something. Was it a knife? Was it so within a few sort of meters of the nursery that Javed has alluded to, there was a knife found, and broken glass. So it just shows you that it's very dangerous, and unless we take responsibility, then one of our young child can get injured and hurt from it. So we have an essence. And the other thing is also, I agree with this, before we start going around and collecting from other areas, I think if we have street champions and if they can take responsibility with 3 or 4 like-minded people, and before you know it, and you'll be thinking, why should I start something? No one's going to join me. I don't get paid for this. I'm too busy. Before you know it, as soon as you start doing it, when people see you doing it, they will come and join you.
Absolutely.
Especially on your road, because you are going to be directly benefiting from that street clean.
Brother Arif proven, and Brother Zahiri does a lot of work in the local area. Brother Arif cleans his road up. He's got all the neighbours involved now. Alhamdulillah, you know, you look at it now, it's a total change road.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's step up the game. Everyone's cleaning in front of their houses.
That's right.
SubhanAllah, I mean, it doesn't take much, like our elders used to.
That's
I mean,
right.
I think, you know, we've educated ourselves. We've got a lot of money, mashallah. You know, we all got comfortable living in our houses. But the minute we step outside the houses, we see all this rubbish, but we need to take ownership of it. We need to take the responsibility to take
you know what's fearful for me, Javed, is the fact that we have become so blind and immune to the amount of rubbish. And I'll give you a small little story. Is, you know, I can only talk about myself. You know, I have a slightly negative view of Yorkshire. You know, you think, you know, Dewsbury, Leeds and Bradford, they're a bit more, you know, run-down areas compared to Birmingham. So I had some relatives come down from Bradford, in fact, and sort of, you know, when they came in, we had a sort of 2-3 hour sort of session, and they were sort of about to leave, and we were just, you know, as you know, the Asian goodbye is never 5-10 minutes. They're there for about, you know, half an hour to an hour saying their goodbyes, and one of their departing comments was, "Oh, your road is very messy, it's full of rubbish." And they might as well just punch me in the face. I'm telling you, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I'm thinking, what on earth?
But that's right.
I looked around, I think, oh my gosh, you're right. You know, I'm absolutely embarrassed by this. But before they pointed it out, I was under the impression, oh, it's okay, it's Alum Rock. And after that, I'm telling you, there's rubbish there, and the amount of chewing gum was stuck to the pavement, I notice now, and it is a cause of embarrassment. If my relatives from Bradford sort of came and made that comment, you know, how does that look for us, people living in Birmingham and other areas?
I mean, until we sort ourselves out, alhamdulillah, we're such a great community in Alum Rock.
Absolutely.
You know, until we sort ourselves out and set these examples, you know, we need to bring that name up, bring that honour back into the community.
Yeah.
And the only way we can do it is by get together and join forces with one another, help one another. We can always sit there behind keyboards and blame the councillors, but until we do something about it and hold elected members accountable, you know, for the cabinet members to get involved. You know, you're not going to get to cabinet members straight away. You're not going to get to the council leader straight away. But by changing these small steps, by doing small amounts of work locally, you do make a huge change.
And I think this is where I think, you know, yourselves have done very well, because you have sort of gone on that journey, and whatever you've learned, you've then passed it on to other organisations that want to do similar. So I am thinking about, you know, the Handsworth Community Group, I'm talking about Borstal Heath, I'm talking about Hodge Hill, Ward End Forum. These are all forums now that you passed on your wisdom, so they don't need to sort of start lobbying the councillors, because sometimes, you know, you don't get the necessary response. They can go through the right channels, straight to the council, and I think it was about 6 months ago, the council was actually giving the full litter kit. Absolutely. You know, from the brushes to the hand litter picks to everything. So, you know, like-minded individuals, organisations can take a lot more ownership of their areas, and I think that was a huge success, wasn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I mean, there's loads of groups set up now, alhamdulillah. If any brothers and sisters are watching or listening to us, please get in touch with Alum Community Forum or with Brother Ali or myself. You know, more than happy to assist, to give you litter pickers, bags, and make sure they're picked up after you've cleaned them up and put them on the corner. And not only that, any other issues that you may face on your road and you feel like you're not being listened to, please by all means get in touch with us. I'm more than happy to assist.
And I think we've touched on the high streets as well, you know, Handsworth, you know, Ladypool Road, Soho Road, and also Alum Rock Road. These are busy high streets with a lot of consumers coming from outside of the area. You know, how... I mean, we have Aftab Jutai here, who's you know, the vice chair, I believe, of the Solely Traders Association. How much onus is on these traders association for them to be a bit more active and make sure, you know, I mentioned earlier, there's, you know, in that stretch between Solely Gate and where the petrol station is, there's probably only 3 or 4 litter bins, if I'm right. Aftab, if you know any better, please do, or yourself. But, you know, having, you know, more litter bins, and just generally maybe for them to provide some sort of resource or organise maybe on a Monday morning where it's not as busy, to do something, because they are directly benefit from that consumerism. Shouldn't they also have a responsibility to? I mean,
you know, you got business in Alum Rock, alhamdulillah. The onus lies upon you as well to keep the area clean. A majority of the business people in Alum Rock or any other high street, they don't actually live in the area themselves. So, you know, if you're earning money from the place, you know, you need to have a bit more care for that community that you're earning your money from. I mean, as for business, the association, alhamdulillah, you know, they've been running for a very, very long time, but at the same time, they also need help. They need people to come and help them out and get involved to make the area better and, you know, thrive. You know, Alum Rock used to have Christmas lights, festive lights, remember, back in the days? They disappeared because one man or one person can't do everything.
Yeah,
so our community forum is people behind the scenes who work endless hours.
That's right, yeah.
To make it
I tell you where's a good example, Javed, is Soho Road Traders Association, whereby they got together, got themselves a constitution, and they applied for something called, I think it's Business Improvement Development, I think it's called, which I think is a small amount of, so a small amount of money, but they have then, along their sort of stretch of Soho Road, they have now got sort of flower blooms blooming there with flower plots there, both on the road and also on the lamppost. And secondly, they have resources to do regular, weekly litter picks. So it can be done. There are resources out there. It's just a matter of organising yourselves in order to do that.
Putting everything together and to make the area better is key. I mean, bringing everybody, all the organisations, key partners on board, and making sure that our areas are better. Not only cleanliness, but supporting our youth. It's like when we done the street patrols on Almrock Road or even Washwood Road. After a few weeks, the businesses did listen to us. It made a huge amount of difference. But the thing is, just a few guys cannot make that change. So we need the community on board, alhamdulillah.
I want to touch on the actual experience, because I know the stretch on Washwood Road now, where the Sladefield Road and St Margaret's Road is, there's a lot of, it's a diverse community, and, for a period, I would say now over 3 or 4 years, that has gone downwards for one reason or another. Let's not get into that. But after engaging with them and just pointing out to them what their responsibility is, the fact that you opened their eyes for them, the reaction was actually quite amazing. And before you know it, I think it was 1 or 2 shopkeepers started brushing the area, and that quickly spread, didn't it?
Alhamdulillah, it was one brother of ours who used to patrol with us, Brother Malik, mashallah. Elderly, mashallah guy who, was sick of rubbish. He got the brush himself of one of the shopkeepers.
Oh, wow.
Cleaned the front of a shop once. Next time he went back, the same shopkeeper is cleaning his own front. Nonetheless, but the rest of them are joining in. Within about 2-3 months, it made a huge difference. They stopped putting the bags outside. They stopped standing outside, causing a nuisance of themselves. Like I said, like the community, when they get together, work as a community, as one. Things can change. Typical example, look at Washwood Road today. From what it was, from where it started from. Today, alhamdulillah, it's made a huge change. This was benefit the whole of the community, not just single people who've done it.
No, absolutely. One of the common things, Javed, is the fact that people do comment that, we have reported to the council, we are, this is their responsibility, why do we pay our council tax? And I think, that's too easy, too cheap to be sort of labelling, really. At the end of the day, it's like, if something's outside my doorstep, I'm the one who's suffering, rather than me blaming a third party, why don't I do something about it? But one thing that I must say is, I think over the years, where the council can take a bit more responsibility and do a lot more is around the prosecution side of things. I mentioned that it is improving, and if we have a lot more of not only naming and shaming, a lot more prosecution as well, then I think that will be a deterrent for individuals not doing it in the first place.
Once again, prosecution is something that's very complicated. The only way to prosecute somebody is by having evidence.
Direct evidence.
Go to law or court.
Absolutely.
It's the courts that decide, not the council themselves or not ourselves. Alhamdulillah, what we need to do is highlight the people and bring these people. Like I said, you can have CCTVs. The biggest CCTVs are our own eyes. People who live there. It's okay to have CCTV. We tried it in Sandway Gardens. In Somalia, it stopped for a little while. As soon as the camera went, it's gone back to the similar kind of state once again. But the neighbours themselves, the people who live there. The biggest problem we found a few months ago was at the nursery, just in Ward End. There was a lot of rubbish dumped outside the nursery, which was totally disgusting. But since the nursery has stepped up the game, put the bins out, and cleaned up the car park, the neighbours have stopped putting rubbish out. It's been 3 weeks now. It's been clean, absolutely clean. Until the neighbourhoods and ourselves don't take the responsibility, alhamdulillah, we're not going to see any major changes.
And just to give you an idea for the residents, for an area like maybe Handsworth, Sparkhill, Alum Rock, which includes Ward End, there must be at least a dozen or so cameras that can cover all the gross spots. So what's the reason why there aren't enough prosecutions?
That's something that I can't comment on. That's something that the council or somebody in that position could comment on that. But obviously, the reason behind CCTV cameras, every time we ask for one, and we're knocked back because of the cost. The cost.
How many cameras are there for example, say for the whole of Handsworth or Alum Rock?
Let's talk about West Midlands today. It's about 10 or 12 cameras which can be changed from one place to another place. But
10 or 12 across the whole, wow.
In the whole wide world, and there used to be 11 reinforcement officers, and this year alone they've come down to what, 4 or 5, I believe.
Yeah.
You know, to cover West Midlands with 4 or 5 reinforcement officers, you're not going to do it. Until we, if you want our areas clear, like we says, I mean, Brother Wajid, I just commented on Facebook. Too much red tape once again. I mean, even to put cameras on, you have to get permission. It's not as simple as just putting a camera on. For legal reasons, you can't put a camera anywhere and everywhere as you wish, willy-nilly, and you can't use that evidence in court. And obviously there's laws behind that.
Normally we would have a second ad break about now, but I think this is so intriguing, so useful, so beneficial for everyone. So if it's okay by you, Ikram Mirza's not going to be happy, but I'm going to play through and make sure that we use the time that we have, as you know, by having Javed. The areas, for example, Handsworth may only have one camera, you know, one camera for the whole of such a big area, or around Washington is not enough. And then all we're doing is we're just sort of, you know, chasing our tail. And we mentioned about the amount of evidence, you know, for there to be a successful prosecution, not only has there got to be almost a witness to the effect that someone's a fly tip, but there also has to be some sort of a photographic evidence that this individual videograph. That's right. So it isn't easy, but it can be done. So that is certainly one avenue that we can sort of go down. The other avenue that Javed has also mentioned is about the importance of education. As parents, as school, as a community, as religious institutions, which include the churches and the mosques, for us to sort of give that sense of pride and responsibility and that civic ownership to our young people, especially for them to sort of take the pride of the area, and hopefully they can sort of stop blighting the area. So for me now, I think the other thing that is important is to touch on, for example,
landlords.
Landlords we touched on, because that was, I think Aftab was here earlier, was, the fact that now you've got tenants and businesses on the first floor, they don't have the wheelie bin because there's nowhere to put them. So the only thing they can do is the night before their due date for collection, they can just simply put it outside. But I think one thing has happened which has caused a lot of disruption is over the last few years we've had about 3 or 4 strikes by these bin men, and we've had Mount Everest really growing and sort of these piles of black bag having a life form of its own, and the smell and the stench of it could be smelled by meters away. So the quick, absolutely. So one thing I was going to say to you was, for those businesses and so for tenants on the first floor, what do you think is a realistic way of having their black bags being collected?
First of all, I personally believe, my personal opinion after doing this, what I'm doing for the last 5-6 years, before anybody, you get these flats and let them out. I mean, landlords are making a huge amount of money out of this. I mean, so is the council for, having council tax and everything. If you're having that, it means their feasibility, accountability once again, would them residents who live there, do they have all the facilities that should be provided to every other resident in the area? If that can't be provided, why are they still being charged huge amounts of money, but yet they have nowhere to put the rubbish? It's something that landlords need to take a responsibility of, and this is where Birmingham City Council needs to step up the game and have a look at these flats before going any further. You can't just go willy-nilly and go and blame the people who live there. They ain't got a house to live in. They need somewhere to live. So they've got somewhere to live. When they go in there, guess what? They've got nowhere to put the rubbish. And this is something that doesn't cross anybody's mind. We always blame the Eastern Europeans. But believe you me, we've worked with them closely for the last few years. They have been quite tolerant. They've been really, really cooperative, to be honest. The experience that we've had with some of the people.
One of the things that came to me was, I know we had Councillor Majid Mahmood, who was the cabinet member for fly tipping and all the waste and stuff. And one of the things that we did get him to do was to go around to all the commercial businesses and make sure that they had a valid commercial waste license. and they have that data available. And he did that for a shorter time before obviously he moved on. But I think that is something where the council or the cabinet member who's at the moment John O'Shea can certainly do. He knows exactly who's got a commercial waste license. Whoever hasn't, make sure they've given a small amount of grace in order to do it before there's some sort of enforcement that takes place. Otherwise, what are they doing with their littering?
I mean, it's okay to have a waste license, but does it cover the amount of waste that they produce?
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of takeaways. We've got video footage of for people. They've got waste licenses, but dumping rubbish, in front of people's houses. But the thing is, once again, this is something that council needs to step up the game as well. Going there, have they got sufficient licenses, or have they got sufficient bins? For the purpose that
I see what you mean. So, for example, a normal takeaway may produce about 3 bins worth of rubbish, but they may only have a license, or they'll be paying for 1 bin, and the rest of them they'll either be putting it onto the street, or again, making a pile on someone's street corner. And they can safely go to their nice area and live there, whilst people who are living in these inner street areas are suffering the consequences. So I mean,
John O'Shea has done a fantastic job since in the cabinet member place, but obviously he needs to do a lot more. Listen to the communities. He's been around, had a look. The only way we can get that across is bring these people here, see it for themselves, which Alderman Committee Forum has been very successful in doing.
Just a question by Bernie Mac, who I know very well through his MTF Academy. He just sort of reiterated back about the bulky waste collection. Unfortunately, because of austerity cuts, Birmingham City Council deemed it necessary in order to cut that particular service, and something that can be reintroduced if there's enough people, when it's pre-council budget. Pre-council budget, that is the time, which is roughly around October, November time. If there's enough of us asking that this is a service that we want to be introduced, they will then prioritise that. But again, as individuals, we don't know about these pre-budget consultation times, and then not enough of us go and actually, put our ideas and thoughts forward.
I mean, not many people actually get involved with anything as such. A lot of people don't even know that these kind of stuff that we need to get involved with and make these changes, and how these changes are made. I mean, once again, this is where our local elected members need to step up the game and start raising awareness within their own communities. How it all works. Back in the days, it was done for you. Now everything has to be done in a way that it has to be part of the full council meetings and whatever they require. And this is where, we don't have a ward forum meeting in the area. We need more forum meetings. I'm not going to forum, I think, holding on
5th of March, everyone.
5th of March,
5th of March. Please be there.
Please be here, of course. This is where your voice counts. Make your voice heard. Bring your ideas forward and join in and make it bigger and better. Hold elected members accountable for such decisions.
Now with the introduction of wheelie bins, I think that's been a great idea. It's been a success. Albeit, there are some streets like, where I live on Highfield Road, we've got no choice but to put them on the actual pavement because, we've got steps going up to our front garden. But there have been some occasions whereby, because individuals or households haven't put I'm talking about the recycling bit now, where they haven't put the right amount of rubbish in the right section, and the city council bin men have refused to take it because it's not been in the right section. So I think as an area, I think there's a lot more for us to do around recycling as well, rather than just simply tipping it. But what are your thoughts about, as a community, are we doing enough about recycling and making sure that our environment, which is a big thing now with extended rebellion and reducing our carbon zone, we're doing enough about it?
I mean, like some of the bins that we've got in the families, that we produce a lot more rubbish at times. Some stuff when we've got events in our families, alhamdulillah, we produce a hell of a lot of more waste than we normally should. People leave the bags on top of the bins. In the past, when Lisa Trickett was a cabinet member, she agreed to take them away. But times have changed again. Bin strikes and legalities, workers' rights. Now they don't take them once again. So now people need to be a bit more careful. But they need to be made aware that if you do it like this, your rubbish is not going to get collected. If the community is not aware, this is where Alderman Committee Forum tries its best to raise the awareness through whatever form we can possibly do. We used to do live videos. We used to do. We stopped doing all that because obviously it creates a lot of stuff. People think that you're doing it for self-benefit. for self-promotion, but that's not the case. We used to raise the awareness, but still do actually, still do a lot of stuff behind the scenes. As you know, Brother Ali, you know us,
absolutely,
doing some amazing work. Just like this Saturday coming, we've got a litter pick.
Oh really? Tell us more, please.
Not only a litter pick, but it's community waking up and making sure our local masjid. We're going to start at the masjid this time around. The new project is going to be focused around local masjid. Such as Filmer Road, where the corner is. There's a mosque on the corner as well. Ziyal Quran is the car park that we, inshallah, tackling on the first.
Sorry, where's Ziyal Quran?
On St Saviour's Road, Alam Rock.
Okay, Boy Road, that's
Boy
right.
Road, The poster will be circulated as of tomorrow night.
Oh, fantastic.
Hopefully, inshallah. So, any brothers and sisters, please want to come along and help out. We're doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cleaning up the car park around the mosque and making sure the area around the mosque is kept clean.
And this is not just for Muslims, this is for the community.
For the
whatever your background is, this is a shout out by Javed Iqbal and Al Rahma Community Forum. So this Saturday, which is the 22nd of February, from 1 o'clock onwards, the car park, which is actually jointly run by the mosque, by Rosary School and St. Peter's College, that is going to be, it's a tip at the moment. It should be a safe car park for everyone to use and park, when they're picking up the kids, when they're doing their prayers, whether it's Friday prayers or funeral prayers, or when they're visiting the St. Peter's College. But unfortunately, over the last 12 to 18 months, it has really gone downhill, and Al Rahma Community Forum have stepped up. So
we've cleaned it up and passed in the past 2 or 3 times in the past.
But I think nothing's sort of been sort of continuous. But I think you're sort of going to be doing this on a regular basis every fortnight. I think you're going to try
every second week will be there, inshallah.
Every fortnight you're going to be doing
major clean up, because there's sofas there, mattresses there. You've got all sorts dumped in our car park. Don't forget, the car park is being utilised at every Jummah prayer, at every funeral prayer, and every other
school
event.
Run as well. School run as well.
Absolutely. And if that car park wasn't there, it caused a hell of a lot of traffic chaos in the area.
Absolutely.
And it's a great asset. We can't afford to lose that asset, and we need to keep it clean and tidy. People come from out of the city centre, like you said, Bradford, or London even, come to the mosque. And when they see sofas being dumped, what kind of image are we setting ourselves?
No, well said. So on Saturday, 1 o'clock, Amr, for you especially, we are going to be. So where's the meeting place, and do you have anything prepared before we go to the flight?
We are indeed, inshallah. We'll all meet at the masjid.
The Al Quran Mosque, so
we read our prayer there, and for the non-Muslim brothers and sisters who want to come along, if anybody was the first time was come to the Al Quran, we'll bring a short tour around the masjid. There'll be refreshments available as well.
Oh, okay. Tell us more, man. Refreshments. This is what's going to attract everyone there.
Whatever's available on that day.
Okay.
Sharing that to whoever comes along and volunteer. More than happy to do that. And mashallah, after we've done that, we're going to go to the car park and we'll have all the litter pickers, all the tools necessary to clean that place up. We're going to give it one good clean out, and after that, inshallah, we will keep on top of it every fortnight. We'll make sure it stays clean.
No, that's fine. And again, what I would say to you is, this is not, this is all being done, out of their goodwill, with their own time, with no financial gain whatsoever. And this is for the benefit of the local community, for the 3 organisations I've just mentioned, and also for the Almighty. So credit to Al Rahma Community Forum and to Javed in particular for organising such a great initiative. The other thing I wanted to touch on before we end the show, and it's always the end when I have the King, the Badshah Sahab, coming into the studio. Thank you, sir. Oh, 2 kings! What am I supposed to do here, man? I'm inundated with legends of the radio industry to come in. How are you, Tony? You okay? Thank you, sir. So one of the things I just want to touch on is the bit about the empowering, now with the invent of social media and technology, there's a lot of apps there for individuals now to simply take a photo of the rubbish, of the location, and report it. Do you want to just tell us a bit more on how it's done and how quick it is?
It's very simple. Once you know the email address of the relevant department. If not, please inbox us. We're more than happy to share that with you. Take a picture and send that picture with your location of the rubbish or any other issue that you have. Alhamdulillah, we will ensure it's dealt with. And a lot of the council officers, alhamdulillah, they know exactly, we've been working with them with us for the last 4 or 5 years now. And they do react to it. Within a day or 2, it gets cleared. So it's not difficult at all. It's very, very simple. Instead of writing Facebook, this and that. Just write a small email with a picture, a location, alhamdulillah.
So use the technology. It literally takes, I would say, a couple of minutes maybe. couple of minutes, take the photo of the, the crime, whether it's littering, fly tipping, whatever, upload it onto the app, send the location with any particular comments, and within 48 hours, I would say?
48 hours, yeah.
Within 48 hours, it will be. So, this is about empowering, it's about sharing the knowledge that you have, using technology to improve your area. So I think we are now in the last...
last WhatsApp number we had
Yeah.
set up with the 3 E's project, we used to get 40, 50 reports on it, weekly. Well, young children used to report them. Start educating our youth how to use their latest phone and gadgets and the computers. Send a small email out, empower them. Put them forward. Get them to. So if you can't do it, let them do it.
And what's the name of the app, if you can remind me? Is it Fix My... One's called Fix My Street, isn't it? That's the one. So if you can download something called the Fix My Street, that's the one that I would suggest. So I think I'm just going to now ask you just to sort of maybe give us a final sort of summary of your thoughts, and then we're going to sort of call the show to a conclusion when I'm in the shadow of two greats that are on me. So please, Javed.
Well, thank you so much, Ali, and Radio Aapke Awaaz for letting us come on and sharing our views on there and letting people know and raising awareness about major issues in the area.
Absolutely.
Support these guys to the max.
Yeah. So that was the legend that is Mr. Javed Iqbal, part of Alumni Community Forum, who are doing an amazing job for the last 5 years, just to sort of really, let everyone know that it can be done, and they have shown it and demonstrated it and proven that he has. And secondly, they are doing a new initiative at the corner of the Al Quran. If you think that they can be utilised in other areas in terms of their expertise, their experience, or generally know-how, please get in touch. And I'm sure either through me or through Javed's, he's on social media. Please do contact him. Other than that, I think it was an important show for us to discuss and bring a gentle reminder every so often for individuals that please, these sort of things are better when prevention is at the forefront of your minds. So next week I have Brother Munir coming on talking about alternative holistic therapy, homeopathic therapy, and he's going to be talking about acupuncture. He's also going to be talking about the benefits of hijama as well. Please tune in for that. And the week after we have also Wahid Salim talking about the fact that he's a deputy WMPCC, and also the fact that he's going to be talking about crime as well, and the fact he may be out of a job in May, but hopefully with his track record, there's no reason why Liam Byrne, who we will also invite, who's one of the candidates, along with Andy Street and Beverly Neeson, why we can't do a hustings for them. And other than that, I'm just going to turn the camera around, guys. Ms. Amir, thank you for today. Fantastic. Habib, we have talked about Filmo Road enough, and that's something that you guys ought to be doing as well. So Tony, Bacha Saab, thank you. Quick wave, Tony, if you can. So just turn the camera, Bacha Saab, thank you. On that note, guys, thank you for your... No. On that note, thank you for you guys for tuning in. Guys, a pleasure as always to benefit from Javed's experience. Bye now, and tune in. Look after yourselves and each other until next week.